it might just come down to Scump. Somebody has to make the play. Time starting to dwindle. There goes Scump as well. And it will be the Ultra winning out this hard point and taking down OpTic Chicago.
Oh, boys! Boys! What are you talking about, baby? Go, man.
Hi everybody and welcome back to the Stage 2 Major. It is match 3 of day 3. We've got ourselves a good old elimination game. Loser finishes off in top 8. Winner advances to hopefully find some new life in our elimination bracket. We join you with eager faces coming into this series. Of course, it's Ledo and Standy bringing you guys the cast to close out our last 2 matches. And Standy, we've got some great ones.
Yeah, we got some great matches, man. Winner go home situations for both these matches coming up. We're going to start with OpTic versus the Surge. OpTic not having the match they wanted to yesterday versus the Ultra, dropping 3 maps and just losing that series. And then Seattle on the opposite side, coming off of that hot win versus Florida. This is going to be a battle.
I really don't know what to expect, to be honest with you, man. Like, we talk about, we talk about OpTic, we talk about NYSL. There were a lot of people who thought, like, hey, maybe both of these teams could meet in the grand finals. Maybe one of them could contest a FaZe or a Dallas. You just really don't know what to expect when it comes down to the Stage 2 Major. But, folks, let's go ahead and meet one of our first 2 teams, starting things off with OpTic Chicago.
Mighty keeps it going normal, looking fantastic. Envoy's laying his way through. Scump from up high, the king.
I'm out here doing what they thinking is irrational.
Really starting to run that score up.
I'm gonna make it back, I'm gonna make it back, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, OpTic gaming are back.
Chicago are a force to be reckoned with.
I mean, what? OpTic off of a shocking loss yesterday to the Toronto Ultra, losing that series 3-1. A number of different times where, we've kind of looked back and said, hey, what's going on with OpTic right now? Is there some inconsistencies with the team? What's kind of going down right now? Standy, what's kind of been your assessment of OpTic recently, and especially in that match yesterday versus the Ultra?
Yeah, in that match yesterday versus the Ultra, it was just those closing moments towards those ending of those games. They were up 5-3 in the search and destroy. They start individually pushing, started trying to make those plays, and they were just getting countered every time. Then they go into the control. They have a live advantage on their offense. I'm pretty sure they were up by like 6 or 7 lives. Envoy's finessing the entire time in basketball, and they're all just flooding front. Just forgetting the fundamentals. You got to keep those to be able to close out those games.
And they're going to need that coming into this series today versus a team that has looked hot, at least as of lately, getting a win yesterday. Unlike OpTic, of course, OpTic off the loss, Seattle off the win. Let's go and put our hands together for our team that sits on the other side, the Seattle Surge.
Lord, son! Finds himself another one!
Prestinni looking dangerous.
He's just ripping the entirety of the Guerrillas. Wow! Aggressive is always Diamondcon. Head rip off. Looking to find a few more, but Gunless absolutely rips his way through the 3 of them. 249, Seattle won!
And there's a look at your Seattle Surge. I mean, a totally different looking team in terms of just the results, right? The roster stays the same, but the team, just their performance from Stage 1 to Stage 2, looking like a much different squad. I mean, what, last major study, we were casting over the team, and we're unfortunately seeing them exit top 12. Now with a win here, if they can get the win over OpTic today, they guarantee themselves top 6 here at our Stage 2 Major. What's really been the big difference maker, you think, from Stage 1 to Stage 2 for this team?
Well, ever since Stage 2 has started, Seattle has been at a whole different level, especially Prestinni. The guy has found that consistency in his gameplay, and it's been showing every single match that they have played so far throughout Stage 2. But we're going to hop in with these keys to victory for Seattle. Teamwork needs to be at an all-time high. Yesterday versus the Mutineers, everything was just clicking. Every time someone dropped, it was always someone playing their life, playing it properly to make those plays. Prestinni, especially as that playmaker, he needs to be able to control his aggression versus a stack slaying squad in OpTic, of course. But he's been doing that a lot recently. And then Gunless in those respawns, he's the X factor. He had a 1.33 versus Florida. No teammates were over a 1.0, but that's where that teamwork has been really clicking for these guys. They just need to be able to bring that overall throughout from start to finish of this series.
And it's been so great too. I know, like, there was a lot of drama last year whenever it was kind of around the Seattle Surge. It was like Sam needs some help, and really, when we talk about stage 2 specifically, he's got it, man. Like Prestinni and Gunless, at least from the slang side of things, I know that Loony has so many kind of intangibles, but on the other side, they've just been firing on all cylinders. We're going to take a look now at our game fuel keys to victory here for OpTic Chicago. I mean, what, Study? Be more disciplined today. You called it out, right? Just a number of different situations where they should have closed out games, being up 50+ in that game 4 hardpoint, losing the search and destroy despite being up 5-3. And then really for them, the major talking point, really so far throughout stage 2, and even in stage 1 a little bit as well, has been this search and destroy, right? At times they look great, at times they kind of do fall flat, but there's no question about it. Envoy is that playmaker for them. He can be in the respawns, but we know how talented this guy is in those search and destroys as well.
Yeah, and those search and destroys, especially yesterday, when they were up 5-3, he was trying to make a play, flanking both players that were trying to wrap back through Eskies, but he just got caught off guard. Insight shot him in the back. But then when it goes to that 5-5, him being the playmaker once again, he pushes towards outer bricks, but he has no support this time. So Ultra, they blind counter it, they completely just 4-man hit A, and they singled him out. And then once they were able to do that, they're gonna force all the players to go back to B, eventually get them to come back to A, and it was just way too late, man. Envoy needs to be that playmaker, but his team needs to be there to support him.
Now, one thing that I do want to ask you about, I know we had it on the screen for a moment, was our maps and modes. And now these two teams played, I think it was like 9 days ago. Like they played at week 3 in our stage 2 regular season, so they're kind of fresh off of playing against one another in that series. It was OpTic who did take the 3-0. However, we look at that series, right? Our first 3 that we saw are going to be the exact same maps. In fact, which we didn't see map 2 or map 4 or map 5, but the entire map set from when these teams played a week ago is the exact same now here in our stage 2 major. Study, really from Seattle's perspective, you just got 3-0'd over a week ago. Is it kind of crazy to see the exact same 3 maps just 1 week later?
I don't think it's kind of crazy because the series that they played over, like, during stage 2, it was really close. Like, the hard point was like 250, 226. The S&D was the blowout, which was 6-2, and then the control went to 3-2. So they were feeling really confident. The series probably could have went either way. So they were confident enough to play the same exact maps, and we're going to start on Raid hardpoint right off the rip.
Raid hardpoint, here we go. And we've seen Raid a decent amount recently with this OpTic Chicago lineup. We'll be happy to grab the first 14 on the clock, and really, the one guy who's going to be on our screens quite a bit, the guy we're going to be chatting a decent amount about, is going to be Gunless. Good old Pierce. Has a lot of history with the players that exist on the other side, but still back and forth we go. Pretty much neck and neck HP off the rip. Player 5 happened to back up. That's Formal. Wins a big fight there over on Prestinni.
Yeah, and that was huge because a lot of kills were going in favor of the Seattle Surge there. So they spawned 2 players from OpTic out. So eventually they were setting up a pinch, but the 2 players that were holding back laundry, they won those engagements to make sure they secured those spawns. And now they were eventually able to chain some more time off that P1. Now they are fully set up for P2. It's all about just trying to hold them, trying to hold that first push. And this is one thing that OpTic had a problem with yesterday. It's just slowing down that first push and trying to stack up as much time as possible. As I say, that 3 are going to drop. They're going to lose back spawns, and just like that, they flip out.
Again, man, I mean, this is, for whatever reason, this hill has just been so problematic or OpTic Chicago. Again, as you called it, they struggled on it versus Toronto Ultra, where they were struggling heavily in that week 2, right, where they're losing to teams that we argued they probably shouldn't have, versus Florida, versus Minnesota. It was on this very map, and the primary talking point was their ability to not hold down over on Kitchen, as Gunless heating things up on a 4 spree right now, and that's the guy that you really want to see going off for this Seattle lineup is Gunless. Puts up a 1.3 yesterday versus Florida. We know that Big P can take over series from time to time, but again, OpTic now setting up for Garage, kind of licking their wounds as they set up next to the Lambos, or rather the new vehicles now, but we'll see what they can do, because again, they just got brutalized in that last HP.
Yeah, and the only thing is that this setup is so tight. So if one of those players on OpTic, they drop nice and early, they will spawn out just because of the positioning out of Prestinni. He's canceling that water spawn, and Gunless is getting every single kill outside of Art. So you're going to see a couple players from OpTic, one spawning ring, one spawning on water, but the break is in once again from the Surge.
Another break for Seattle in our Money Hills. Crazy to see, but again, at the same time, we've seen it so many times over again. Great start coming through from Seattle, as they're going to be up, really, what, about 90 points once this hill comes to a close. I'm really interested to kind of hear what the comms are like from Chicago, and what's going to need to be a major rebound coming into what is going to be a very fascinating next hardpoint over at Basketball Court. Let's go to our Astro listening with OpTic Chicago.
Triple back of the rip.
Watch kitchen. Watch kitchen.
I'm
Watch
down.
kitchen.
I got you.
I'm just gonna stay down in time, guys.
Cutouts open, cutouts open. Yo, yeah, cutouts open, dude. Kitchen dead.
Nothing here, nothing laundry.
Yo, cutout. Yo, and kitchen. Could be cutout, guys. It could be cutout.
Cut too.
Kitchen. Gun.
There's
Two
two
kitchen.
kitchen,
Two
two
kitchen. One's close right and one.
Nothing cut out, nothing cut out. I have a cross back.
Yo, I spawned
I'm
out.
being tricked. I'm not happening.
Staying in.
Front of me.
Pillar.
Front of me.
Hit the front. They're spawning water, I think.
Front, two in that.
Two on time.
I got one more time.
I don't see anything water.
In the head,
Nice,
nice.
good check, right?
Nice.
Shit. Let's get it.
I didn't see
Yo,
anything
I'm
water.
pushing
They're
out ring,
spawning.
I'm
Yo,
pushing out
water.
I'm pushing out ring.
Water sand. Two water.
Higher.
Listen,
Play safe,
one
one upstairs.
I'm playing.
I'm hoping you hold. Nothing hit
I'm
you
ringing,
hold.
guys. I'm
Nothing hit
ringing.
you hold.
I'm coming to ring the map.
I think Teakin.
One can be Zig.
I'm ring.
He's gonna be Zig in
One
water.
splash water for
On
sure.
new, Preston. There's
Yo,
two on
top art. Top art weak.
Preston, there's two on new. Preston and
Top art
Pierce.
Danny
One
weak.
was water, guys. One was water.
I'll see the M1.
Top art weak.
Flash.
I spawn kitchen.
E5.
Yo, stand water.
They have
Stand water
trophies on
stairs.
new.
Stand water
Trophies
stairs.
on new.
Top water stairs. Hitting it.
Yeah, one more Zig. Preston. One's in
Yeah,
her,
boulder
one steps.
and water stairs.
Yeah, water steps.
In art, Loony dead.
I spawn pillars. I'm
Only
pulling
my
pillars.
pinch.
That's our play.
I'm waiting for you guys, I'm waiting for you guys.
I'm coming both steps. I'm
Yo,
going hill.
Zig. There's only two hill.
Back right time. Back right.
Yo,
Back
Zig
right.
hill. Zig hill.
Zig.
Dead.
Nice, two.
Two.
Water stairs.
I'm taking.
He's challenging it. Two there. One more.
Or sure.
I got both
Nice,
sides.
good job, nice. I'm
Yo,
holding.
they're gonna be ring.
I bring.
I'm in
Watch
Zig.
the
I'm
kitchen.
Zig.
My P water shows, guys.
Yeah,
I'm
look
Zig.
your water. Well, look at your kitchen. Matt.
Yo, kitchen.
Water stairs, Pierce. Water
One's ring, guys. Stand ring.
One shot. Okay, all good.
Two or three old.
Two old. Listen, somebody get around on water.
Yo, one was
Yeah.
Despite what were some great early hills in that P2 to P3 train out of the Seattle Surge, now we see OpTic bringing it back and very well could be even, if not in somewhat of a close game after our first set of rotations. Study, what'd you make of the communication there and the coordination in those last few HPs out of Chicago?
I love how the communication was so fluent. Like, you heard OpTic, they were trying to set up a pinch for that P5, and once they let Scump get in towards Art, he opened up with that kill. The callouts were coming in from Formo and Dashy, exactly where they were spawning, so they were able to just chain all those kills together and eventually break that hard point. But it was the fact that they were able to hold that P4 even if a streak came in. The streak came in and they were still able to hold it down. So, Surge, get some more streaks, because OpTic can hold their setup like that. Because right now, they're able to fight back in this game. We're going to have a tie ball game, but you see number 8, he's trying to flip those spawns. He's unfortunately going to drop, and that's going to go 3 down for OpTic.
Yeah, that's a huge loss. I mean, what if Scump wins that 1v1 and then all of the teammates drop inside of the hill? Maybe you're talking about flip spawn. So regardless, big moments coming through from Surge. And I got to ask you, and I know we have a little bit of time as the breaking kind of moments happen in this first hard point, but what do you think have been the issues so far for Chicago now that we've got to see them play Raid so many times and losing kitchen, losing garage, hills of that nature?
Well, it's definitely like just their setup sometimes on certain hills. Like their P2 setup, it's all about like if they die once, they're automatically going to spawn out. You need to spread a little bit more, try to build those layers so when you're picking up those kills, you're still able to spawn in the back. And it's the same thing for P3. It's just such a tight setup. Once one person drops, they're automatically going to spawn out. They need to spread their setups so they're able to die and at least spawn up and still have those spawns.
We'll see how they can possibly break it. I know their holds have maybe been somewhat questionable as of recently, but 40 points down, an opportunity to do it, but they pretty much slammed at the door. Prestinni finding 2 with the nade, pretty much everything but the gun. And how about the gunny there onto Scump, catching him off inside of that money window. So final 20 gonna go the way of Surge. As OpTic now prepare once again for Garage. We saw them get broke on this hill last time around. We'll see how this next setup looks to be. The struggles have been pretty prominent in these setups, but boy, what a hill this could be if they can grab the full 60. Here come the Surge through the weight room.
Yeah, they need to hold it because right now OpTic is just not playing well. You have Envoy 6 and 18, Scump at 9 and 14. This is your SMG duo who's supposed to be just being aggressive on the map, winning a lot of those engagements. They were able to take down 3, but here comes Gunless through gym side. He's going to get dropped, but it's looking like a couple players from Seattle just trying to flood on through this gym, but a lot of engagements are going in favor of OpTic. But Prestinni's trying to set up the pinch. He's going to get taken down. Loony and Gunless go right through mid. Envoy's going to be the last one, and he's going to take down both players and eventually try to slow down that push from Seattle. As they do end up picking up this remaining 20 seconds, OpTic has to focus off the rotation.
Yeah, OpTic will refocus their attention now toward basketball, but Seattle going to be in a really good spot when we talk about the way that this hardpoint has begun to lay out. breaking through majority of these hills. But I know we got to take a quick little gander there at the scorecard. Really for Surge, you're looking at Gunless, you're looking at Prestinni, both having solid games. Incredibly notable as 234 to 160. The major plays needed out of OpTic in order to bring this one back. As we'll see how the hold will be. Scump, first line of defense over toward the jungle side. Water as well being cleared out right now from OpTic, as it seems to be the mid push, possibly looking to try to unite inside of the kitchen. Surge goes strong through 3, and now this could set up Formal for a nice few kills. Able to drop Octane off the rip. Has to get back with the teammates because here they come. Into the blender they go, as OpTic finding all the kills necessary. Here comes the push from Surge, the trade. It appears that really once the dust begins to settle, it will be OpTic grabbing the remainder of those seconds, so they have brought it back for the most part. But here comes Loony, winning a big 2. Major plays coming in from him, but Surge cannot win it there. They're going to be at about 246 if they grab every second left. It all comes down to Pit.
Now this is where that communication needs to come in for OpTic. They have one good push. One player's gonna push through pillars. He's gonna drop. Dashy's gonna come through kitchen, able to take down 2. Loony trying to go for the second. It's only gonna be on the Formal. Formal's gonna drop, and the Surge are gonna walk away with that first hard point. Just came down to a couple hills that OpTic were there on the previous setup, but they just didn't have good holds, man. And Surge just kept on breaking in, kept on getting that remaining junk time. They were able to close out that map number 1.
I mean, I actually coming into this series, I said, hey, you know what? They're playing on the exact same map set that we saw just a week ago, kind of specifically referencing that opening hard point. And you said, hey, not too crazy. Kind of given the way that this series went last time around, how close the respawns were, maybe even as of late how Chicago have looked on this specific map. It appears that, that Seattle have made the right call, at least to start things off. A major opening hardpoint victory, but I feel like we just kind of continue to say the same thing, Study. It's just kind of this echoing effect of just not being able to hold down these money hills, and obviously the SMGs, not a great performance here.
Yeah, they did a better job on that P4 right there at the very end. They had Envoy, who was pushed all the way out Tiki, so every single time they were getting kills, they're spawning them all the way at P1, all the way back Art. All they have to do is push through kitchen and through the back. It's just that P2 and that P3 hard point where their setups are just too tight, and once one player drops, they spawn out, it's automatically broken.
And what, you see it on the scorecard, 11 seconds over on P2 is it for Chicago. And really when we talk about kitchen, how important that money hill can be for this particular map, it's not often going to lead to a victory. But Seattle getting the W that they needed to start off this series. Momentum heavily in their favor to start this one off. And folks, we've got ourselves some good old search and destroy up next right after the break. Stay with us.
Call of Duty League is presented by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. The Call of Duty League is presented by Zenni, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Zenni Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting zenni.com/gaming.
Oh boy, what a map one to start off this elimination series. We cannot stress it enough. You lose this series and you are in the elimination bracket. OpTic Chicago versus Surge, treating us to a great game one hardpoint. Let's go and kind of reference back to what has been an interesting season so far for OpTic, just in regards to stage one, stage two, really where their KD ranks sit right now. Standy, what do you make, man?
Just from top to bottom, man, they're some of the best players to ever touch Call of Duty. You have Dashy, who's second overall in KD. These guys have not been winning a lot of matches recently, but he's still overall number 2. So the guy's just an unbelievable player. Sitting right next to him is going to be 4-6, and it's just insane, man. With both of those ARs on your team, picking up the kills that they do, it should be a lot easier than win these maps, but just come down to these setups.
Yeah, and we take a look at the KDs for Surge. I know in comparison to when we look at stage one, stage two, I know we see what Loony with the last KD, 39th for Prestinni, 24th for Gunless. Really, when you look at what is kind of this graphic right now, it looks as if, well, Surge, hey, this should be a pretty easy series for OpTic, right? All things considered. But again, it's been this stage two, and primarily for somebody like Prestinni, who went from like a 0.8 overall from stage one to a 1.05 in stage two. He has just been lights out. I know that me and you were kind of after our games yesterday, we were in the green room watching them versus Florida, and you just kind of continued to talk with me about like his playmaking ability, just his thought process around the map. He is always doing something for the team. At times, he can be that aggressive type player, but he's really slowed down and just really kind of mastered what has been a very kind of chaotic last few series for Seattle.
Yeah, that's definitely where Prestinni has shined through. It's just like finding that consistency between being fast and being patient, and he's found that perfectly. He knows the certain situations that he's in. He's going to know when he needs to play quick, when he needs to slow down, play a kill, stall some time for his team, and he's been doing that all of stage two. He just needs to keep it up.
Here we go, into the search and destroy on checkmate. Again, like we talked about, OpTic Seattle played this map in this particular series really just a week ago. It was OpTic taking this one 6-2. Definitely the most dominant of the three that we got to witness in that 3-0. But OpTic starting things off on offense, really just kind of laying down the lead into the window of the plane. But it's formal, wiping away that first blood, takes down Prestinni, which, again, how great he's been up close. Good to see right now from OpTic, but Octane on the other side, picking up from where Prestinni left off, as Loony as well takes down Envoy from the side wing. Scump there to go for the instant challenge, 2v2.
Number 4, look at number 4. He's patiently going on the flank, but he's not going to read it. Dashy's going to spot him. Unfortunately, Dashy's going to lose that gunfight to Octane, so now it's all left up to a 1v1. Scump knows exactly where he is. Octane's just trying to get on top of the wing. Too bad the movement's not all there, and Scump is going to walk away with that first round for his team. And one thing that I saw right off the rip was that first blood out of Formal. Last time these two teams played, Formal had a 3.0 KD. This is where he gave him the nickname Guardian Angel for the map like checkmate. Every single time one of his teammates tried to go for a plant, he was always there to watch him over. And opening up with that first blood onto Prestinni was huge.
I gotta be honest, man. I really thought Octane had that in that situation. I know he just kind of goes for the quick little hop-up movement, maybe just a little off in that moment. But still, a near opportunity comes down to the 1v1. Chicago happy to grab the early offenses. Now we'll see what Seattle have got to start this one off. And again, when we talk about search and destroy, you're really looking at the adjustments. I know that's kind of a common phrase, Study, when we talk about search and destroy, not just really in the middle of a game, but also from series to series. What are these guys doing different? How do they play things out? It appears right now from Seattle getting heavily aggressive over toward this Tetris side as they drop 2 to Chicago's 1 off the rip. Formal gets taken down by Octane, now all on to Envoy.
It's all left up to Envoy in the 1v3, and it's looking like we might be able to work an A plant, but no sirree. Octane with the shots, able to eliminate that player. And I love the aggression right there from the Surge, pushing out towards back Tetris, and they won the 2 engagement. They eliminate 1 player in Dashy, and at the same time, Scump does drop in bomb sites. So they could have worked in there and got that free bomb plant, but they knew that all the action was going down towards back steps. They rotated over through bottom mid, and Octane puts 3 on the round, give him the hat trick.
Hat trick, Girdle Octane, maybe getting some positives after the last 1v1 loss. Still, Octane playing great, 5-1. I know last year for Surge, I mean, search and destroy was just something that you really hope to forget about. I know his KDs, it was just like so dominant in the respawn. Search and destroy really lacked this year for Octane. Been so good in S&D, like top 10 right now in KDs for that mode. And so helpful for this Surge roster, who really in stage 1 primarily relied so heavily on those S&Ds just to kind of get them through. But into our round 3, OpTic off to pretty much of a slow start. Looking for those early picks. It's Gunless, who gets met with a nice long-range shots from Dylan Envoy.
And now that's going to mess up the setup a little bit for the Surge. You're going to see that number 3, he's still holding down 2, but he has to try to watch middle map. And now watch that aLLeY that Gunless has dropped. But time is ticking. OpTic's looking like they're going to slowly work up towards this B site. Formal and Scump are usually the duo to get this job done. But unfortunately, Formal's going to drop to Octane, and then Scump is going to go for the trade. Is he going to get the second on the Octane? But no, now it's going to be a 3v2.
And a nice shot coming in from Scump, and Chicago will wipe away the final player. I thought, kind of given the way that top playing control looked for a moment, that surely this is going to go the way of Seattle. With that pick on the Formal, it looked like it may have been it, but Scump continues to make the plays inside of the top lane. And really, Scump's been pretty much one of the primary talking points for this OpTic roster and Search and Destroy study. His ability, his clutch factor, we talked about constantly in that series versus the Dallas Empire. He was the guy, and off to a 4-1 start as the king.
He's just so good at holding on that B bomb site, even if he's by himself on offense and defense. He's been in that situation so many times. He knows every possible outcome, and he just countered it perfectly there, picking up 2 off the bomb site. It's another slow defense for OpTic. I like what the adjustment out of Dashy. Just sit back yellow, make sure you don't die, because this is one problem they used to have was just Dashy. Just being a little bit too aggressive around that tube area, giving up those first bloods, but you see the position change. He's trying to focus out towards bottom middle, and Scump's going to open up with the first blood.
Much more discipline. Much more discipline from Chicago, as you called it, bud. But Gunless able to drop Formal, so now this makes this top lane fight that much more interesting. Still time on the clock for that objective to get planted, but here comes the nade to try and help support Scump. It's the read, nice challenge. Obviously, here's the gunfight coming in from Octane, but it's Gunless able to find one, nearly turns on to Dashy, but you just see Chicago, right? The line sight, just the way that they were prepared for those final few fights. The nade comes in, and it starts to ruin things all around out of Chicago.
Scump, once again, just holding down that B bomb site. That's Scump's playing. So far, every single round, offense and defense, he's been doing his thing in there. He's going to put him at 6-1 on a 4 spree, trying to work towards some streaks. But we know exactly how they like to play their offenses. Just play slow. They're trying to gain some information. Formal and Dashy are going to try to open up with that first blood. Just going to take their time again. This time, Seattle, they're just going to do something different and trying to push to that A street, but Prestinni's going to get first blood.
Yeah, man, it's just the first blood. It's the first blood again. Dashy finds it over toward the A street, and you just see the confidence coming in from Chicago. They all start to rally. Into Tetris they go, but Octane tries to find a few. Formal able to drop him there with the headshot. Loony gets caught out as well. Instant 1v4 for Gunless, and there is your round. Chicago firing through quick. Again, 4 players stay alive. 4 players fall for Seattle. And OpTic, they find their 4th round.
Did Dashy just kill all 4 of them? He opened up with the first blood. I know he got 3 guaranteed, but the 4th one, that was insane, man. They were all long-distance gunfights. All long distance, and he just made that look easy. Yeah, that's going to be a 4 speed for Dashy, so picks up all 4 in a round. We were talking about Big Brucey just sitting in the back of the spawn. No, he wanted to get into action that round. He was all the action.
You're looking at a 9-team streak right now for Chicago. 3 straight rounds. Without a doubt, one that you have to have if you're Seattle, and they're going to go hot and heavy into the play, into trades. Not really favoring any particular party, but Loony unfortunately catches the nade from Envoy. And as Loony drops, it now leaves Octane, little Sam LaRue, in a 1 versus 2. And boy, how important is this round for Seattle? I know we're kind of already into this series. Like, we're already into the game 2. We're possibly in one of our final rounds of this Search and Destroy. But how big could this be for Seattle? You talk about momentum plays. Things that kind of bring you back, especially after that first hard point. We saw in the 2-box there, bomb sitting in top of the plane, so Octane still with quite a bit of work to do. 35 seconds left. He's got to be so careful given the positioning. Knowing that Envoy is alive is just terrifying in itself. And with Dashy on his streak, you do not want to run into Bruce. But here comes the plant. And we'll see how Octane looks to play this. Dashy able to read him, and Dashy's able to take him down, as it will be Chicago grabbing the defuse, going up 5-1, as Dashy continues to delight us.
That was just such a fast round, man. Seattle, they know that their offensive pushes have not been working, so they just dropped all strategy, decided to be aggressive in towards that bomb site. The trades go evenly, but then that stick onto Loony, man, as he was trying to get off that bomb. Great nade out of Envoy. Great snapper out of Loony right there to get the second as well, but just that nade, man, turns it into a 2v1. Once that bomb was down, Envoy put himself in a position to hear Octane once he picked it up, and then it was just a guessing game, and Dashy guessed it right.
Oh, man. Prestinni, 0-6. Dashy guessed this right. Prestinni hasn't really guessed too accurately up to this point. Talk about how much of a playmaker he can be. 0-6 is never anything that's going to help you out too much, but instantly, after lobby drops in just a matter of moments, and Gunless with a possible pick takes down Formal, also escapes with his life. Goes for the quick challenge, trying to set up Prestinni to come in from the bottom plane, and that is great team shots coming in from Surge in what was an incredibly fast round.
Yeah, the Surge just take it to him. They know that their defensive holds hasn't been working either, so they just double push through the plane. Gunless was able to trade that one and then just play his life beautifully. Pretty sure he got 3 on the round. Switch to that submachine gun is probably something you didn't expect. Gunless is usually that player who's playing that back A site around 2, so him switching to a sub definitely caught OpTic off guard right there on that round.
Yeah, Big P, he can do it all. But can he lead the Surge back? I mean, not trying to speak things too early into existence, but I mean, what, it was a 5-3 yesterday. Toronto able to come back versus OpTic, what would be a 5-1. Who knows? It's the major after all. My pick'ems would say that anything is possible, that's for sure. But here we go, my friend. Into the next offense, Seattle continuing to play aggressive.
Yeah, and they're doing the same thing. So far, it's been working for them. Are they going to be able to get this bomb down? But no, Scump's going to change up his positioning. Formal with the 2 through the wall. Now it's all left up to Octane in a 1v4. Told you, Scump and Formal had that B site on lock. They shut it down in the very last round, and OpTic tie up the series 1-1.
Well, it was like a similar play. The Formal gets here. Like one of his last bullets connects on the Gunless. Had a very similar situation in the series yesterday versus Toronto. I want to say it was like on Moscow S&D. Oh boy.
Yep, drew the bus stop.
But what a rebound there coming in from Chicago. I know we kind of talked about their search and destroy. It's kind of been this this hot topic for them so far, really kind of throughout the season. Was at times they can look great in search and destroy, sometimes they fall flat. That is what you want to see out of Chicago, able to rebound. Formal 8-6, Scump 9-3. As you said it, my friend, T2P locking down the sights and never really gave Seattle too much of a chance.
Yeah, T2P just held down that plane on offense and defense. They were just working so well off each other, and then what Envoy and Dashy were doing, Dashy obviously playing his life on the defensive rounds, but him opening up with a lot of first bloods for those offenses. One round where he ended up getting an ace was so huge, man. Opens up the map for his players, and they end up taking the map.
They do, and I know one guy that we talked about a lot in Search and Destroy, especially for OpTic, right? It's kind of been Dashy. Whenever the search and destroys were kind of heavily discussed for this OpTic team, it was about them maybe not playing well enough, maybe not playing as dedicated as they need to. And now for our U.S. Army tactical play, it's given to Bruce. Dashy making the plays here at round number 5, stud.
Yeah, and this is where Seattle switch it up. They go right off the rip, try to send Prestinni and Gunless through that street, but Dashy reads it. He was able to get the first blood. He wraps all the way back to the back steps. He's going to be able to pick up the second kill. Just don't know where it's gonna be. Oh, actually, Formal picks up that kill on Octane. And then both these players actually wrap back through that A site. Dashy catches Loony off the rotation. And then he just reads Gunless as he slide cancels all the way to that aLLeY. Great shots out of Dashy to give him the hat trick on the round.
Oh man, he's got such a great shot, man. It's almost unbelievable.
Yeah,
like,
he's nasty.
Like I watched his YouTube videos and I'm just like, how does he do that? Like, how is that even possible? But still, we've got ourselves a 1-1 score line after the search and destroy. Chicago feeling much better. We've got ourselves a control on raid, folks. Stay with us as our elimination game only gets more intense. Everybody, welcome back to the stage 2 major. Things are starting to heat up, folks. OpTic Chicago, Seattle Surge. We are level at 1 after 2, and we're coming into this game 3 with a lot of excitement, a lot of things to be stoked for as we take a look at our quick scope presented by Scump and really study. When we come into this control, this is kind of where we can set up things. Really, Chicago looking like one of the best control teams in the entire league. Like started off like 7-0 or something in stage 1. Obviously, we've seen that record kind of get depleted a little bit. But the other side, right, for Surge, sitting at 3-9. Now we got ourselves a raid control. Did not think we'd see that.
Yeah, this one is kind of weird for me, man, because so far you have OpTic on one side who are 7-2 on this map, and then Seattle who are 0-5. I was expecting Seattle to come in and ban raid control because it's not their best mode, and to play OpTic on checkmate because they did just watch OpTic go up against Dallas. OpTic lost 2 defensive rounds on a map like that. But just watching this control on raid, I don't know how Seattle are feeling about this. They have yet to get a win on this on the season, but I'm excited to see since they're obviously feeling confident on this map. So what kind of new gameplay are they going to bring?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, right? Because I believe that Surge are like 3-3, like they're basically even. Like their control record has really improved so far in stage 2. Only thing is that it's only been on Garrison. Like the only wins that Surge have had in control are on Garrison. So like you said, they come into this one of their probably their worst control map, now giving it to OpTic, which is their best control map. I don't know what to expect, but hey, man, again, stage 2 major, like you can throw anything out the window you want. Like predictions, I had somebody tell me that they predicted perfectly Toronto versus OpTic. I mean, I don't know what to expect, but all I know is that we've got ourselves a banger in our midst. Octane doing a nice little 360 as we come in to control. Oh boy, it's going to be fun. OpTic starting things off on offense as Gunless looking to try to beam over top.
Yeah, so they're trying to work this 8-point nice and early, but 3 players are going to drop now for OpTic. Only 1 player is going to be in a position who is going to be Dashy. Now they have a couple players trying to push Zuzig, trying to take control of that P5. So far, their A push has been shut down. So now you see a couple players from OpTic just looking like they're scrambling. And Octane's in a position to just continuously cancel that water spawn. He's going to set up the pinch, able to take down 2. And this is not the start OpTic looking for.
Not at all. And you can just see Surge, right? They just kind of gain the momentum. They realize the angles that they've got. But again, how hard it can be for teams to stop this A push on offense. As Loony does shut down Scump, but it's Dashy with a nice 2 to give Chicago some freedom now over at this A point. So while they do stop it for at least a decent amount of time, they will earn that extra minute once this tick goes through. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, once this tick is going to go the way of OpTic, you are seeing water control trying to be gained from Chicago. That's being shut down right now by Surge as Envoy drops in the flank.
Now this is where I need to see the improvement from OpTic, because yesterday, like I said, they had a live advantage on their offensive push, but they were just consistently flooding towards bedroom. And here comes Prestinni on the backside, almost takes down the 3rd. Envoy only takes down 2. The Octane still pushed up bedroom, still canceling that spawn, forcing all of OpTic to eventually go around that right side. But they eliminate that player out of basketball. It's going to force all of OpTic back out of their base. They have to try to force themselves out, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to win both engagements towards the front side. Now they have an opening. It's all about just winning these engagements from here on out. Try to hop this point.
I was going to say, the only problem with them kind of administering as many players throughout the map as they did for Surge, it could free up that quick water push rush out of OpTic, as it's pretty much been slowed down. So great control, no pun intended, out of the Surge. Hold on to this map advantage is off the rip. Chicago struggled to get that A point, and it's by no means been easy so far here at B. But there are the first 2 picks, and here comes the rush into kitchen.
And this is the adjustment that we needed to see. They needed to get control of kitchen. Unfortunately, Envoy is going to drop there, and that lets all the players from the Seattle to be able to push out of basketball, push out of that pocket. 2 players are going to drop. Formal's going to win the second. So now this might be the opening. The only player here is going to be Gunless. That's going to be 4 down now. All players spawning out towards back laundry.
Anti-Piper, hand-to-hand combat. You don't want to see him, folks, as there's going to be 1 tick through. The quick little rush from Surge has to be solid. As Octane trying to go for the early picks. Dashy trying to watch both corners as they come around the side from basketball court, but it's Seattle winning the fight, as now it will be down to just 2 from Chicago. 1 tick left, 25 seconds. Scump able to make his way inside of Tiki, but they've got him pinned down. He's winning the fights, though. He's got the first win on the Prestinni. Unfortunately for him, Formal drops, and that will be the Surge securing our first one.
Yeah, so there's just that break off. Once they didn't know that the Surge were gonna play so aggressive on towards that point. So once they were able to shut down that first A push, they had them staggering a little bit out of the base. Eventually they were able to get that, but they had the live advantage. So they just kept up the pressure through Art, kept up the pressure through Bedroom, and just got a lot of spawn traps onto OpTic. They were not able to fight out of their base, and now they're going into a defensive round that they're gonna need to win.
They're just running to B.
It's looking like the Surge early. Yeah, they're gonna go nice and early to B.
So as soon as Scump finds that pick, you see them instantly turn around. They said, okay, they're going to go water side this time around. An instant read from OpTic. We'll see if this does work out for Surge. Can they really get any progress? You see a little bit over at B as now the rush, well, instantly over toward A. Back and forth we go as Envoy does get the nice duel win onto Octane. Really, we can't stress it enough as Seattle look to try to rebound here at this 8 point. Winning that early defense from Seattle is massive because we talked about their control. It has not been great. They're actually ranked last in defensive win-loss. Only getting a 0.99 KD from the squad right now in these defensive rounds. And OpTic on the other side have been great, and their offense is one of the best. So a solid start from Seattle. Now given this offense, they've kind of been put in somewhat of a standstill. Down by 6 currently in lives, and it only looks to raise as Scump with a crafty movement shuts down Gunless.
Yeah, they're just putting so much pressure on them that they can't even get out towards this 8 point. They have all the players from the Surge just looking left and right, trying to locate these players from Chicago. But still, they're not able to get any points. Now they're going to see that 3 players are starting to commit towards that 8 point. Number 7 is Envoy. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. It's just cancel that front spawn while all his teammates are getting the kills all on the opposite side of the map. 10 seconds remaining. OpTic have an 11 live advantage. This has been a great defensive hold so far out of OpTic.
Envoy's just reading the newspaper over in Top Mansion like, all right, guys, cool.
He's relaxing.
Just gonna hang out, maybe.
He's got his feet kicked up.
He does, man. He does. Astros backwards and all, just hanging out, having a good time. As it will be the 1-to-1 grab there from OpTic. But I don't know about you, Stud. It just kind of felt like once we didn't see the opening break go the way of Surge, just kind of given the way the spawns were working, it just kind of seemed to be like these one-on-one pushes, like nothing really, all of that coordinated, really nothing, all of that worked together. And really, you see Formal in back-to-back engagements, just finding one player at a time. Seattle just really never able to get too much work done on either of our points.
Yeah, and the big thing is that Formal's on a 6 spree, and then going into an offensive round, these can come in clutch. So he needs to try to work for these. He's only going to be 1 kill away. So you're going to see OpTic nice and early, just try to go for that 8 point once again, trying to extend that time by a minute. But Formal's just going to play a little bit safer. Scump's going to be able to open up with the kill onto the player in Zig. Almost going to spot Gunless. Is he going to hit the shots? And no, Gunless is going to take him out of that window, shut down the streaks. That's going to be 3 down. Last player is going to be on this 8 point win in Envoy. He's going to get dropped, and now that shuts down that push from OpTic. All 4 players coming off spawn, running into the pre-aim of Prestinni at this B street. Once again, they are scattered.
And Prestinni over at the Top Mansion, putting people on skates as he'll shut down the other member of T2P. Saying hello to his old teammates. Different jerseys. As now the hype only continues right now from Seattle as Gunless is able to win a big one himself. So OpTic, based off of that, now we're going to focus all their attention, get the stack over at A, and this should be enough for them. Surge and event and maybe try to contest this last second. So they are going to go for this. Up 7 in lives. Go for a few quick chows off the rip. Loony able to escape with his life. But you notice Seattle instantly, in terms of those arrows, trying to get toward that Top Mansion control. And based on the life count right now, minute 30 on the clock, all things currently looking good for our defensive side.
Yeah, they're up 8 lives now. They still have full bed control. They have 2 players that are all the way pushed out. Prestinni's on a 5 spree. Is he going to get the second? No, he's going to drop to Envoy. But Octane should get the trade, but no. Envoy's going to open up with that one. Formal gets the 3rd, and Dashy with the 4th. That's going to be all 4 down once again for the Surge. All OpTic have to do is just get on this point and stack.
Seattle, you see Prestinni, he's going to try to make the play, but Scump's going to read him. Scump shuts him down. That's a major kill coming through for OpTic. Instantly trying to challenge everywhere they can, but Gunless and Loony, they find 2. Formal has to go big, and he does! Winning 2, sitting on the 5 spree. Teammates have to watch over him, but Formal was the last pushed up player. So So a minute and 12 on the clock. A good push there from OpTic, but Seattle will be able to hold on for now.
Yeah, Seattle able to just break in on that, but that is 2 ticks for OpTic on towards that B point. They do have a 6 live differential. Surge in favor. You see what OpTic is trying to do. They're working around the back, working around kitchen. Scump's going to open up with the kill. Onto Gunless. Envoy is going to get the timing on the player on the flank. So now that's going to spawn the players down towards basketball. It's all about just opening up with these second kills. Scump and Envoy doing it all. It's all about just eliminating Gunless, and Scump's going to do that. Now here comes the 3 stack. Only needing 1 point. Every single player from Seattle has to flood.
They have to flood in. They have to get in. OpTic begin to stack the point. Here comes Octane. Can he win the fight? And the answer is no. Chicago, after the SMG plays, after really the constant streaks that we saw getting players down, the Surge, despite some good early defensive plays, not able to hold on. And Prestinni, a good few highlights, but it doesn't equal out to a round win.
I just love the play out of Scump and Envoy there. Once again, that duo makes that play happen. They send one on the flank, but it all started with Scump opening in with that kill in towards kitchen, forces the player who was watching the flank to turn around. Envoy got great timing there, and then they forced a couple players to spawn back bottom basketball. They get those kills. A couple players towards laundry. They get those kills. They just made that play happen. That duo just came in and got the job done.
How clutch, right? Out of the vets, going big. We'll see what they look like now, and could be the closing round. Back and forth, and all of Surge just right back inside a garage. As OpTic are set up early, they go for the quick 2-2 split. Just great awareness, but Gunless does find the early pick. And you see possibly the artillery coming in, at least going for the ping is formal. And that is going to, kind of put some worry in the back of the minds for the Surge players, just knowing that that could come down at any time. Great clarity coming through from OpTic comms, you'd like to imagine, just based off the way that that push begins and it finishes. Small life advantage as Surge yet to get really any progress on the page over here toward either of our points. Scump does get dropped by Octane. Prestinni on the other side falls as well. Surge looking to apply all their forces now at A.
Yeah, so all the Swans are going to come in with those players that dropped that water street. Now it's all about just trying to hold this push from OpTic, and here comes the artillery from foremost. So all the players are going to have to scatter now. But OpTic is going to read this. You're going to see Scump take control of top laundry, able to gain that engagement. But with 23 seconds left, they need to get on this point. They need to try to extend this time. But OpTic are still putting pressure on this. They're not trying to give this up. They're trying to close it out here.
Going to try to close it out, but with those few kills and what Envoy also drops over inside of pillars, it will be the capture point coming in toward A. So an extra minute on the clock as you see all 3 players from Surge, knowing that that time is going to stop, instantly go over toward B, trying to stop that map positioning, and that's going to be 2 picks. Formal, he has to back up. Scump as well toward the pocket. He's going to get dropped as well, so great plays early coming through from Seattle. It was a slow start, but boy, have they picked up. 3 strong right now on the point. Prestinni, he's sitting inside of kitchen. If Prestinni can win that fight versus Scump, that'd be big, but Scump wins it. Formal on the other side as T2P continue to be problems. Granted, if you're Surge, you do get the double tick, so there is a positive without a doubt at the end of the day. But what looked like that could have been what sends us to our round 5. T2P able to delay for the moment.
Yeah, they win the majority of those gunfights. Now you see all the Surge players just pushing around the back, but Dashy and Scump gonna be here, able to take down 2 apiece. That's another push from the Surge, gonna get shut down. You're gonna see all the OpTic players pushing up, playing for more map control. Envoy's gonna be able to get 1. Now we have tied lives on both sides. 44 seconds, Seattle know they need to try to chain these kills together. They need to try to work around the backside and force the players from OpTic to spawn out towards back laundry. So far, they're trying to take control of middle P5. But Scump is walking around the map like a god right now. Everything is going in his favor. Currently on a 4 spree, single-handedly shutting down pushes. But right now, Surge do have control of kitchen. They get that pick at the kitchen area. There's only going to be 1 player informal at bedroom. Trying to stay alive. Dashy's going to get 1. Dashy with the second onto Octane. In the closing moments, T2P and all the boys are turning up when they need to the most. And OpTic looking like they're going to close it out here.
Seattle starting to crumble. Gunless making his way through water steps. He knows that this one is done. OpTic able to rally here in the round 4. Surge looks so good to start, but it's the streaks, it's the team kills, and it's the plays from Scump. He and Formal were so good at locking down this water side, but really for me, man, I was talking about Prestinni. He's hanging out in kitchen. He locks that one up. You like Seattle's chances, just some big fights coming through from the King. And I know that not long ago, he tweeted out, talking about how he's been in a slump. Things just haven't been great. Granted, I know they lose the series yesterday versus the Ultra, but he has been looking so good in these last few series here for Chicago.
Yeah, man, just the playmaking ability that him and Envoy had on that map. Those guys were making plays. They shut down that last push on their offensive round to open up that point to eventually put themselves up in a 2-1 lead. And then on that defense, it was all about just trying to re-break it. If Scump does not win that gunfight in towards kitchen onto Prestinni, he doesn't get the 3-piece. Seattle does force a round number 5. But once they were able to capitalize on that, it was all about shutting down the second push. And Scump, once again, he was there to help Dashy get all 4 kills, push up on the map, take the map control. And OpTic, they just played that one so well. They put themselves up 2-1.
You see Scump, like what, like 1,300 damage per round there. Just great plays, again, really coming from the entire OpTic squad. As now they find themselves up 2-1. Can they close it out in Garrison? It has been a hard point that they haven't played in an entire month. But can it be done here? Can the elimination bracket run start versus the Surge? We'll find out with our Game 4 on Garrison right after this break. Chicago OpTic, they're able to grab the 3-1 win on the control and now find themselves up 2-1. Coming into this Game 4 on some good old Gary, as we like to call it. But let's go ahead and revisit what are our maps and modes, how we've got here up to this point. Study, it was the early hardpoint victory there out of the Surge. We couldn't stress it enough, right? It was those money hills, specifically things like kitchen, like garage, that the Surge really exploited well.
Yeah, man, it was just those setups out of OpTic, man. They were just way too tight. And on a map like Garrison, discipline needs to be there because spawns can flip on its head left and right at any second. So going into Garrison, this is a map that we haven't seen OpTic play in a really long time. You just told me since stage 1, and that's a really long time since the last time these guys have played this map last. They're currently 1-3 on it, and then on the opposite side, you have the Surge who are 0-1. So both of these teams don't rarely play this map a lot. But this is one for OpTic that can be a lot more sneaky throughout the rest of their series if they were able to walk away with this one, because they've been banning Garrison for an entire month. And the fact that they led it through this series, they had to have a trick underneath their sleeve or something.
Yeah, man, like it's just kind of weird. Like I feel like we started off like, you know, the CDL season, stage 1, we're all hyped. We're like, gosh, we got Garrison. Okay, we got Garrison again. Cool, we got Garrison. And there was just this massive break where now we're finding ourselves in the stage 2 major just a month later being like, okay, got a lot of checkmate, a lot of raid. Okay, cool. Now we got ourselves a Garrison back. So, like you said, man, I really don't know what to expect in regards to this pick. Like you said, for Surge, 0-1. OpTic, it's not treated them oh so kindly as of late. I know this has been a map that often for them, as you called it, has kind of been that map veto in the HPs. And I know what from like a KD perspective, like I think pretty much everybody but Dashy heavily struggles. Like the rest of the team is averaging like a 0.87, not including Dashy. But when we talk about the SMGs, like when we talk about Garrison, right, you're talking about how kind of important the middle of the map kind of plays out. And based off the way that Scump's playing, you know, you talk about the playmaking opportunities that Envoy's going to have. It could be great, but when we talk about the Surge, we heavily have been discussing that man Prestinni, the guy who's able to make the plays, how great he has been in stage 2, but his hardpoint KDs have gone through the roof, went from a 0.85 to a 1.12. I think it was Methods the other day on Twitter who was like, Prestinni has to be like the most improved player from stage 1 to stage 2, and I couldn't agree with him more on that point. He very well could be the difference maker and what sends us potentially to that game 5.
Yeah, and like a map like Garrison, I'm pretty sure we watched the Surge play this versus Mutineers. It wasn't hardpoint, it was control. Just watching Prestinni, the way that he was finessing around the map. I'm pretty sure this guy went doggy tunnel at least 3 times in one life. He jumped out, got a kill, ran around, went back in. Like, he's just so good at just playing his life, being a nuisance on the map, and his team's gonna need it if they want to extend this series here.
Well, Seattle here live is on the line here at the Stage 2 Major. Does it end here, or can they force us to a Game 5? The Stage 2 Major has been wild. Nothing would really surprise me at this point. Here we go into the opening HP as OpTic grabbing some early second.
Yeah, so OpTic are going to be on the bad side, so it's good that they're getting this time right off the rip. They were getting a lot of those kills, so that's going to shut down the push from the Surge, but they're trying to think of the bigger picture. It's just making sure they keep the spawns for that P2. Prestinni does have top 3 control. Prestinni's going to be able to get a second. Envoy and Scump with 2. Now time is going in favor of Seattle. Trades are going to come in. Envoy and Dashy still slowing down that push from Seattle. It's looking like they're going to be able to get a full 50 points off of this P1 hard point. It's all about just trying to get across that bridge. You see a couple players from the Surge just watching that cross, just trying to make sure that no players are able to slip through. But as I say that, number 2, he's going to spawn out.
Now you can only really hold him off for that long as Envoy making the plays quickly on the flank toward back bricks. And that will, like you said, spawn the Seattle Surge out. So big plays going down inside of the hard point. We talked about this one, of course, is a money hill over at Radar. OpTic off to such a great start. If they could find this one in a chain as well. Talk about how great that could be, but Envoy not too clever in that moment as Loony's able to read him. Meanwhile, of course, Chicago with those preferred spawns, they're going to be able to get to the point pretty darn quick. As Gunless between a rock and a hard place, really just trying to buy some time until his good old buddy Prestinni can be there to help him. And that's going to be Preston sitting on 4 in a row. Constant engagements to start things off. Staying alive, dip, dodging, diving throughout the bricks. As he is single-handedly pretty much allowing for his man in the hard point to stay up. Quick close and quarters engagements. That's now 5 in a row, 6 in a row for Prestinni, keeping Seattle in control of this money hill. And now we're talking about the next hard point. In Seattle, they win the big 2 versus 1. Prestinni making the plays as there's some streaks.
Prestinni just jumped out of top green and was able to get 7 in a row, so he works towards his artillery, and this is the best case scenario for the Surge. They were able to hold that P2 from the front side, and now they have the rotation for that P3. So now you're going to force OpTic to try to break through tools, try to break through dark. And it's looking like they're going to send at least 2 players through dark, 2 players through tools. Envoy's going to open up with 1. He's going to try to get the second onto Loony, but Loony's going to get him. Dashy's going to get the trade. Prestinni's there. Is he going to get the second onto Scump? Yes, he does. Prestinni is going big and bigger as the game goes on. 13-5 to the young man's name. Going huge for his team.
There's just been so much talk right on Prestinni. Like, you know, after the stage 1, should he be the player to be dropped? Like, what's going to happen with Prestinni going off to start off this game in which the Surge absolutely have to have him to. Let's go to an Astro Liston now with Seattle.
Might spawn out. Don't spawn behind us.
Tommy, he's P1 pocket.
He dead. Don't spawn behind us. Don't spawn behind us. He's on old time right now, Dylan.
Yeah, he's towards vent already. Dylan on old, half health. He's gonna go front vent. I'm under L, guys.
He's in vent. Yo, Prestinni might be able to get a shot.
Top green, I got one.
In vent room, half health.
Yeah, vent room, he's close pillar. I needed it.
P5 Brandon.
Dylan's still here, Ben. He's the P5.
Give me a second, I'm coming.
P5 under bridge. It's gonna be Lego. I'm trying to look at the middle. Lego on me. Lego got me sap. Lego right now.
Alright, listen, he's pushing out foot tools.
P1 weak. Waiting for him to slide on me hill.
I'm hitting bedroom here. I don't see P1.
You guys just wait. Let me and Ben make first contact.
I'm waiting.
You can help him if you want, Preston.
Sliding across?
Yeah, slide across. Rails, one bullet, absolute rails. Absolute mid-tank, You're mid-tank, Dylan. Dylan is mid-tank somewhere.
P1 and under crane.
Yeah, under
crane. Under crane and P1.
One of you guys come up.
I have a streak.
Under crane, leave. Dashy is close to streak. Dashy is close to streak.
Yeah, okay. He left time.
And Ben,
Ben, one shot.
Okay, wait, hold your spawn, hold your gun spawn. Let's see him loading there, guys. One is on ult somewhere. Yo, absolute on ult and one mid-tank. I'm pretty sure Dashy is mid-tank.
Yeah, he is. He has streaks, I think.
Spawn in the back. I spawned in the back. We're
one
fine.
shot outside it down, one bullet outside it down, Matt.
Dashy,
I don't see bricks.
That's a team that sounds hungry. Unfortunately for them, Study, what OpTic just in that sequence playing oh so well, specifically Dashy. Now 9 in a row. We were talking about streaks for Prestinni, but it's Bruce going big for the side of OpTic. Cannot make it 10, but his presence, without a doubt, has been felt toward the end of this first set of rotations.
Yeah, they held at that P4 all from top green side. They're pretty sure they got a full 60 to fight back into this game, and now they're able to chain that P5 as well to grow this lead even more. You just got to keep in mind, Dashy picking up those streaks is so huge for the second rotation of hard points. Just in case Seattle do flip those spawns for P2, he's able to use those to try to break in. But OpTic, this is a good bounce back, able to fight back into this game and open up this lead by at least 50 points right now. Kills are still going back and forth. Early setup is going to be in for Seattle, but Scump's going to come around rail side, going to challenge onto Loony. Loony's going to win it, but time is still going in favor of Chicago.
Indeed it is. Good start. Prestinni actually does get found on the flank. We'll see if he does, in fact, get dealt with. This Formal was the first one to try and get an engagement with him. So Prestinni does fall. The reason we reference that is just because of how important the next rotation is going to be. Seattle, specifically Prestinni, was so good. It's really the reason why we have Surge as close in this game as we do. Granted, with how great OpTic has played as of late, it was the Surge to start. Well, they are getting some good time right now at P1. See Formal instantly getting toward that top green. Octane is trying to find the angle while also trying to balance the objective as well. A lot in the minds of the Seattle players. As again, their backs against the wall, grabbing the remaining time here over at P1. We'll see how the retake begins to shape up.
Now it's all about can they open up with that first engagement, but Dashy and Scump, they're going to answer the questions. Scump with 2, so that's going to be the last player in Octane. He's going to get takedown out of lights. Now that's all 4 players from Surge are going to be dropped. You see what Scump is doing. He's pushing up towards that bridge, making sure he's getting more aggressive. They're setting this up a lot better just in case they do drop. They're still going to be spawning behind their teammates, but here comes the streak to try to break open for the Surge, but Formal's still on point. He jumps out of the map, able to jump back in, only able to take down 1, but for the Surge, this is exactly what you did on the first rotation of hardpoints. You held this from the front. You were able to chain it towards that P3. The only thing is, OpTic, they're rotating a little bit earlier this time.
Yeah, but it's kind of a must, right, if you have the Surge. So big plays coming in from Prestinni. The streak usage works great despite Formal's crafty plays in terms of getting out of the map. But here comes Preston again. He and Octane able to find a few, and so with those kills, the way that they're able to get him, now it's going to spawn OpTic toward that back brick side. So pretty much what we saw in the first set of rotations now is granted again. Seattle prepared for next. Could be their key. It could be the opportunity for them to start to bring this one back. OpTic quickly sprinting toward the other side of the map as Envoy, the first one to drop, but here comes Dashy. The streaks from above. Can the cruise missile go big for the roster? Able to drop one onto Octane, and you see him nice, slow, and steady into the ground, pulverizing everybody in sight as OpTic, a successful break.
And the break is in. The only player left in the backside is going to be Gunless, but Gunless is trying to wait for his teammates to get closer. When he's able to get these kills to eventually spawn these players from Chicago out. One player is going to spawn out. Gunless is still trying to play his life in the back. Time is not going in favor of anyone, but OpTic are able to take down another 3. Gunless is still the only player back here. He's been trying to play his life for so long. He takes down Scump as well, but time is still going in favor of OpTic. They're getting closer and closer to that 200-point mark. They should be able to get it with this remaining junk time. And the way that OpTic held this next hill, it's all about this engagement right here, the top green. Loony's not going to stay alive. OpTic are going to flip the spawns.
It's crunch time, man. It's crunch time for Surge. What we talked about these next few hills, how difficult it can be to lock both of these up in sync. What does Surge have to do, buddy?
Surge, they have to just push out a broken. They need to chain these kills off the rip, man. You need to open up with that first blood, and that's exactly what Gunless is going to do. And then eventually you have to try to fight out towards that top green. And that's what they were able to do. They win all the engagements. Now it's all about just trying to push up and win for more map control. Gunless is still going huge with the kills on the left side of the map. And finally, that's going to spawn one player from OpTic all the way out towards back P3. Dashy's going to use that artillery, make sure they're not gaining any more time, but they're also setting up the pinch. Do they read Dashy on the flank?
Do they read him? That's 3. 3 in the feed. Prestinni, the last player alive, pretty much toward the middle side of the map, is trying to prevent any of these seconds going the way of the boys in green. The quick shots with the Diamante onto Formal are not going to be able to land. So Chicago, pretty much, what, within 30? Seattle, now is the time. Now they have to hold. The nice pick comes through from Formal. That's going to be 2 down. 1 player on the flank is going to be Prestinni again. He actually spawns out toward that side and can make a play. How do Seattle look to hold this? What can they do? As that's 2 early picks coming in from Scump and Formal alike. The veteran duo going big and in back-to-back respawns. As a few begin to fall. No time still granted towards Seattle as of yet. As a few players trying to make their way in from green and in from bricks. Octane toward the top. Gunless toward the top. Octane in from the other side. Few seconds back and forth, but it's Chicago just delaying for now. As Loony trying to go big in lights.
Yeah, OpTic aren't really worried about this time. They cannot win off this, but they're trying to keep those spawns towards dark to make sure they're able to set up for that P1. So they find themselves at 234. Dashy still picking up kills in lights. Still spawning all the players from the surge out towards back bricks. But Gunless does have top green control. It's all about what can OpTic do here, and Gunless is going to win the second engagement as well. But here comes Standy through the vent. He's going to be able to take the guy off the hill. And just like that, it's going to be 3 down for OpTic. All of them spawning out for good spawns for P2. Dash is going to get 2, though, to try to slow it down.
You begin to fall. Octane trying to hold on to this one. Within 8 seconds, our OpTic surge. Maybe 1 more last good push before this one could be done. Prestinni, can he get to the hill in time? Only 1 more point needed for OpTic. They're going to delay, but Formal, he hops inside of the HP. And OpTic Chicago will stay alive in the elimination bracket. Going big in our last 3 maps. Great plays from Surge, but how about the streak from Dashy? Wonderful plays coming through from Bruce, a map that we haven't seen in a month, and based off the way that they played that study, I don't know if we're going to see it for another month. Thieves probably fearful of Bruce now after that.
Yeah, man, like, that was the turning point of the game. It's just like the Surge, they held that P2 from the front side. They had the rotation towards that P3, just came down to that P4. Dashy is on the hard point. Usually when someone is on the hard point, you want him to stay down and get as much time as possible, but he was picking up every single kill. He actually got every single kill from those streaks off of that hard point. He was able to walk away with a 9 spree there, and he really just opened up the map for his teammates. He had such a great map on the opposite side. Gunless wasn't there to match him. Dashy just took over.
Yeah, he did. And I mean, Alex, we talked about that at stage 2, right? Week 2 to week 3 goes from like a 0.7 to a 1.3. Slaying presence, without a doubt, is felt when Dashy is going off the way that he does. 33 and 17, 5,300 damage on the other side. What Prestinni plays well, but 5,500 damage. He goes 29 for 25. But Dashy, man, just unbelievable plays coming through from this guy. And I know to kind of start off the year, there was a lot of people saying, like, you know, was he the right choice for OpTic? Was this the right player to kind of bring up now with the roster change going through? Obviously, Prestinni, one of those guys. Arcitys, of course, we know what happens to him. Goes over to FaZe, and obviously he's having a great time, but a lot of people kind of questioned it. And like I said, man, whenever he goes off, whenever this guy is slaying OpTic, they just see constant success.
Yeah, and this one's kind of scary, man, because when OpTic were in that slump, when they were 0-2, 0-6 on map count, the match they went up against was a Surge, and they ended up 3-0 them. It's a little different this time being a 3-1, but this is usually that spark. And when Dashy plays like that, he's on fire. I'm excited to see him throughout the rest of the tournament.
Without a doubt, my man. Without a doubt. And I know when we talk about our scuff play of the game, it's got to be on Dashy, right? Just kind of the late plays, kind of toward the end here of this game. He's going off. The team just kind of playing well in sync here, kind of toward the stretch. But his kills just met with the way that the team started to rally off of his slaying. It was a sight to behold, Studdy.
Yeah, it was, because right there at the very end, Surge were able to put down 3 players. Dashy comes off spawn, he takes down 2. Envoy takes down the second. And you saw the positioning out of Scump. He was so far pushed up floating that he was spawning all those players from the Surge so far behind P3. And that's what I was talking about, was just those adjustments to those setups. Scump not being in that position totally changes the spawn for the Surge, but him knowing that he needed to be pushed up to that floating tank was the reason why they were able to close out that game.
Closing out the game as we'll now go and take a look at our major tournament bracket. Oh boy, this just looks totally different from my pick'ems. I don't even know what I'm looking at right now, but no, all jokes aside, all jokes aside, FaZe and Empire sitting in that winners finals bracket, and obviously with the loss that we see the Røkkr take in the crazy Game 5 round 11, Røkkr will be the next match up for OpTic as they look to try to make the elimination bracket run. And oh boy, we take a look toward elimination round 3, Subliners, LA Thieves. This is going to be our final match of the day. It does not get more intense than this, right? We talked about the recent streak that LAT have been on. NYSL off of a big defeat yesterday versus the Dallas Empire, losing that one 3 to zip. So it's going to be a great way to close out this Friday.
Yes, it is, man. And I'm just excited to see the comeback out of Clayster, because usually, from when I was playing against the guy, if the guy has a bad map or a bad day, the next day he's coming in roaring. So I'm excited to see him play.
Without a doubt. And we know, like I said, whenever Clay, like I said, whenever he loses, he always comes back with a vengeance. And with this amount of money on the line, oh boy, the intensity, like I said, just gets turned up to level 38. I don't even know. $500,000 prize pool. We got $200,000 for first. And shout out to our team upgrading it. Seattle walking away with $10,000. That's great. But when you see that $200K at the end of the finish line, I don't know. I'd do crazy things for $200,000 study. We'll go ahead and leave that off broadcast for now. But still, great stuff, great series. And like I said, I can't wait for this next one, man. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, man, it's the match of the unexpected, man. Like, what are we going to get out of Thieves? What maps are we going to play? Who knows? We're just going to have to wait and see.
Definitely, buddy. Definitely. I kind of threw you off with the comment there, but still, hey, you know what? It's the stage 2 major. You don't know what to expect. Things are crazy, and it's only going to get even crazier. Well, folks, when we come back, it is Jess standing by with the King. Scump going big for the roster. We'll hear from the King and Jess right after this quick break.
Welcome back to another Game Fuel Victory Spotlight. This time I have with me King Scumpy, one half of T2P, coming off of that win versus the Seattle Surge. So Scump, first off, I do want to focus in on the S&D, not just in that series, but just in general. It's been kind of a hot button issue. At times we see you come out strong like we did here today, and other times we've seen you guys kind of fall a little flat. So is there anything there that needs to be addressed as far as that kind of inconsistency goes?
I don't know. Our search, I feel like it is consistent. It's just sometimes, obviously, things go wrong in a match. Little things can happen. But for the most part, I feel like we've improved a lot on it, and I feel like there's still a lot of things that we are improving on. So, I mean, to come out and win the search today obviously was great. It was one that we needed, backs against the wall. So I wouldn't really be too worried about search. I mean, it's just a work in progress all the time.
All right, well, you know, as long as you're working on it, that's great. But unfortunately, your backs are still against the walls for a little bit longer because next up you are going to be facing Minnesota Røkkr once again. Now, as we know, last time it didn't go so well for your team. What did you take away from that match, though? What did you learn that you can apply to tomorrow and hopefully achieve a different outcome?
I mean, we just got to come out and make sure that we're warmed up and hot. Yesterday, we were a little bit flat in our comms, so we just got to bring the intensity up a little bit. Today, we did a great job of that. Minnesota's a great team. We actually scrimmed them right before we played our match, so it's going to be a fun one. They had a really close match versus Dallas, and hopefully we can have a good game versus them as well.
I'm sure you will. Well, thank you so much for your time. And those watching at home, we have one more match, and this is another elimination match for you. We've got the New York Subliners versus the LA Thieves. You do not want to miss this one. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
All comes down to the Røkkr. It's a heartbreak or a hero-like moment. Does get the read. Bomb planted for the Thieves. As now that puts even more pressure on Paul to try and make the play. He and Drazah watching each other's backs.
Work out in his favor.
He does get the angle.
Bomb is planted for him.
Almost planted first position. Cannot win the 1v1. And it will be the Thieves. The slipper still fits. As Los Angeles winning 5 of our last 6 rounds and complete the reverse sweep.
Let's go.
Oh
my
God, boys.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go, boys. Guys are us. Us. It's simple.
Hello there, and welcome to the final series of the day. We're ending the day out strong with another elimination series. NYSL taking on the Los Angeles Thieves, and boy, what a turn of events it has been for both of these rosters. We talk about success, we talk about defeats, both teams in pretty interesting situations coming into our series today. Standy, are you rearing? You ready to go, buddy?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I just don't know what to expect out of this match, man. But if the Thieves are able to walk away with this one, I'm going to pull a nameless here. I'm going to be mind blown.
Love it, man. Absolutely mind blown. We love you, Namos. We absolutely love you, buddy. But hey, we talk about what both of our rosters right now, what this one has kind of been at the tip of our tongue without a doubt. Make it an impressive losers run. Will it end today or will it only be continued? Let's go ahead and meet our first roster, the LA Thieves. Oh boy, the LA Thieves have stolen our hearts so far, really kind of throughout the Stage 2 Major, winning their last 2 matches in what's study on a reverse sweep yesterday versus the London Royal Ravens. I think everybody is just curious, how high is their ceiling right now?
Yeah, it's just a Cinderella story, man, but no one knows how high this ceiling could be for this team right now because, like I said, 2 days of practice, 2 matches underneath their belt, 1 being the 3-0, 1 being a reverse sweep. So if you're the Subliners, you're going back and you're just watching 8 videos of different maps that these guys have played. And it's going to be totally different off guard because I'm pretty sure in this series we're going to have 3 straight checkmates. We know what they like to play, and New York like those maps as well.
Yeah, they absolutely do, man. When we talk about checkmate, you talk about NYSL, it's just kind of like you can't really name a better duo than that, to be honest with you. But hey, we talked about NYSL off of the loss yesterday versus Dallas. Clay and the boys, they're hungry coming into this matchup. Again, elimination game. Let's go ahead and meet NYSL.
Don't let us down. Bring home a championship. Not 1, not 2, maybe 3 or 4.
Yo, Clayster, you don't bring home the championship, you out of here, boy.
Hey, if there's one thing about the city that I understand, it's that they don't tolerate losing.
He's in from behind again. Clayster with 2.
So I'm bringing championships. We're bringing them by the dozen.
Just make sure the snipes is hitting. Headshots only. Anything higher than the headshot is uncivilized.
What a Zoom is? Zoom? He's on Zoom meeting?
The stallion is frying. The stallion is cooking.
Not quite what I was thinking.
You guys gonna kill it out there.
Good luck this season.
Thank you guys so much. This season's for y'all.
Subliners, way to go. New York's behind 100%.
We're bringing a championship to New York City.
And there's a look at your New York Subliners. What study? One kind of word to describe yesterday's series versus the Empires, not just mind-blowing, but it's also shock. Like, I don't think anybody expected for that series to be as dominant, as one-sided as it was. I think a majority of us kind of expected it to go to a Game 4, probably a Game 5. A lot of us even had NYSL winning that series, but kind of fell flat.
Yeah, that Game 1, that was the closest map that we had. And in the Search and Destroy, it was a 6-0. And in that Control, Clayster just had probably his worst map he's had all season. Pretty sure he was 9-33 to close that one out, and he just can't have that performance again today.
Yeah, and without a doubt, definitely cannot. Let's take a look at our Game Fuel keys to victory here first for NYSL. Shake off the loss yesterday versus the Empire. Clay, as we talked about it, a forgettable series. Not one that we're accustomed to seeing him, especially in this game, 0.63. And prepare for the unexpected. Wow. Thieves can be unconventional. The map vetoes were a hot topic. Versus the Empire. Dallas kind of threw them off, banning out the checkmate hardpoint, banning out the checkmate search and destroy versus this team. We talk about Dallas, how great they are, but Clay, you see him on your screen, ready to try and change a lot of the talk on NYSL right now, getting focused up and ready for what we said could be very unconventional. We'll go and take a look now at our Game Fuel keys to victory now for the LA Thieves. Talk about this roster. There's really a lot of talking points to discuss, but Study, what do we got here?
They can't afford to have a slow start like they did versus London yesterday. New York will punish them off that. And then Venom yesterday, from the second half of that series, he really stepped up. He went 23-15 in the Control, 26-21 to lead his team in the slaying department on that map for that map 4. If he continues to play like that, he's going to be fine. And then just to continue to be a lethal weapon in Control. Yesterday so far, their checkmate Control has been their bread and butter. Drazah, he loves the way that those guys play it. It gives him the opportunity to just do what he wants. Like he said in his interview yesterday, was just doing what he wants with that assault rifle, pushing up that left alley, canceling that spawn, making them all forced to spawn at blue. And they just are really comfortable on this map, so I'm excited to see them play it.
Without a doubt, I know you kind of already talked about it a little bit, but we will have those 3 straight checkmates. Great hardpoint if it comes down to it, and maybe a Moscow search and destroy. Looking at map vetoes, again, it's kind of hard to take a look at, but because we talked about different modes previously for LA Thieves, you could be thinking, hey, why are they banning this? Why are we not seeing that? But kind of makes sense given the way this roster has performed. But kind of standard stuff from NYSL, getting rid of Raid S&D, and of course the good old Gary control. So I don't know, man. I mean, it kind of comes down to that first checkmate hardpoint, as we discussed. Like yesterday versus the Thieves, they come out slow versus them in that, or other Thieves came out slow versus Ravens yesterday. And I know, like I said, we talked about it. NYSL, they're going to punish that. Like, this team is going to come out hot and heavy today. They're angry after the loss. I know that you obviously have a great relationship with Clay. I know he was pretty frustrated after that one, ready to kind of prove a lot of the people wrong who were saying NYSL, okay, their run is over. After that loss, they don't really know what to expect. But when it comes down to the Stage 2 Major, expect the unexpected. Thieves, Can Cinderella make it to Saturday? It's going to be fun. We've got ourselves checkmate and a whole lot more of it as we start off on some good old HP. Here we go, buddy.
Yeah, the Thieves are going to be starting on the bad side, so you might see New York turtle a little bit, just making sure that they're keeping those P2 spawns in their favor. Just a lot of engagements is going to go down off the rip in the middle of this plane. 2 players are going to drop on both sides. Venom trying to turn on to Diamondcon, but he's going to walk away with that engagement. Here comes the push from both players, and Clayster is going to take down the last player from the Thieves, and now time is going in favor of the Subliners.
Yeah, a lot of slaying going down early. LA Thieves and YSL trading quickly. As really New York is trying to exploit the current advantage that they've got, as we discussed, right? They're going to kind of park the bus as time begins to progress throughout this hill, but really Thieves, they've yet to break in, off to an 18-5 start. Play, he's taking them down nearly through the walls as Diamondcon drops up front. But you do see the players off spawn for New York, regardless of what happens to Clay, regardless of what happens to Asim. They are going to hold on to those favorable spawns. Diamondcon specifically could play big here off of what is going to be the early push from Thieves.
Yeah, Asim is going to spawn out, so that was the opening that Thieves needed, but 3 kills do go in favor of the Subliners. They take control of those spawns once again. That's all about trying to locate that number 4 player. And Venom, he's going to be able to take down Diamondcon, so now that's going to open up the map. But 2 kills, once again, going in favor of New York. Make it 3. Clayster heating up nice and early, 7-2 to start this map. I told you, when the guy's mad, he's a really difficult player to play it against, and he's showing it right now.
He is, man. He's got those 3 rigs for a reason, starting off 9-3. On the other side, Maniart not sitting too pretty for Kenny, as he's just found his first kill. I know Ken, right now with the main AR in his hands off of not having Slasher in this lineup right now, it's kind of put him in a new position, but he's been playing well. So to see him start off as shaky as he is, it's no surprise the score sits the way that it does right now, because we'll get set up for that bottom plane push. Current wipes going really either which way. Drazah and the boys from Thieves just looking to try and rebound for the moment, as they have gotten pretty much kicked in the teeth to start this bad boy off, but now could be their time to put in some second.
Yeah, they need to get some time here, and the only thing is that they're spawning a couple players from New York towards that backside. They eliminated that player that was set up on the pinch. Now it's all about just trying to hold. Every single player from New York is spawning out towards back P2.